Hello class, this is a video that gives just a little bit of an introduction to text criticism for those of you who were not able to come to class today. And there is a lot to learn about text criticism, so this is just a little taste of it. When you have a text open in Hebrew, you'll notice that sometimes there will be little superscript lowercase letters. Here A, B, B, A. And you'll notice down at the bottom in the instant details at the bottom of the screen, down in here, that very cryptic little notes show up. This is the apparatus. This is information that gives variant readings, notes on the text, etc. If you double click on them, we'll do this one. We looked at this briefly on Tuesday, this particular one. Over on the right-hand side of your screen, it will bring up a pane that shows several different verses and the apparatus, the text critical notes down the page. And it really, if you're not familiar with it, it looks like gobbledygook and is rather cryptic. Now, if you hover over things written in blue and underlined, you'll see in the instant details an explanation. However, the explanation is in Latin. So, what I am sending you is Appendix E from Walker-Jones, where he decodes some of these abbreviations. Let's take a look at this. This is also in Walker-Jones, but I am sending you the file. If we go down here, I want you to take a look at manuscripts and versions. Okay. These are the kinds of witnesses that you will see in the apparatus to variant readings. So, for example, this is a Gothic C. These are readings from Hebrew manuscripts from the Cairo Geniza. The Cairo Geniza was a storeroom built on a Cairo synagogue. And synagogues have these. They have rooms where one might say that manuscripts go to die. Whenever a manuscript becomes too old and faded or is falling apart and isn't going to be used liturgically anymore, it will be put in one of these rooms. It will not be, if it has the mention of a name of God in it, because they don't want to destroy manuscripts that have the name of God. And a very wonderful discovery was made in the 19th century in this Cairo Geniza of thousands and thousands of manuscripts from the Middle Ages on Jewish literature. A lot of it is in Cambridge, England right now. Okay. Other important witnesses might be the Leningrad Codex. This is the 1,000-year-old Hebrew Bible. It's the oldest complete one. It's one that the project I work for at USC photographed in 1990. And if you go to Inscriptifact, I believe I sent you a link at the beginning of the quarter, you can get access to those images. This Gothic M stands for the Masoretic text of the Hebrew Bible in general. MS and MSS, medieval manuscripts of the Hebrew Bible. Pap Nash, the Nash Papyrus, which is a 2,000-year-old fragment of Old Testament texts. Gothic Q stands for Qumran, the Dead Sea Scrolls. This stands for the Samaritan Pentateuch. This Gothic G stands for the Septuagint. And then there are various things related to the Septuagint. For example, the original Greek text as it is reconstructed, Codex Alexandrinus, an important Greek Septuagint Bible, Codex Vaticanus, likewise, a version of the Septuagint that comes from Lucian, Origen's revision of the Septuagint, the Greek tradition except for Origen, Codex Veronensis, which is the Greek and Old Latin version of the Psalms. This Greek S stands for Symmachus's Greek translation of the Hebrew Bible. It is not part of the Septuagint. It is a different witness. This Gothic S stands for the Syriac version. Syriac is a later Eastern form of Aramaic that is used by the Syrian Orthodox Church. The Targums are all Aramaic translations within Judaism, other different dialects from the Syriac. Among those, Targum Jonathan, Palestinian Targum. The Gothic V stands for Vulgate, the Latin translation done by Jerome in the 5th century, 4th, 5th century, and used by the Catholic Church. Okay, so those are some of the guides. So if we go to this exercise, we'll move this over just a little bit. We're going to decode some of these cryptic notes. In Isaiah 11:3, the superscript B occurs next to the word velo. The apparatus, and let's go through and decode some of this. We have first an L, and if we look that up in Walker-Jones, we see it means read or a reading. C means with. MLT, very many manuscripts. Going to the second page, this G, Septuagint. The Greek S, Symmachus. T, Targum manuscript, and V, Vulgate. What it's telling you is that all kinds of witnesses, instead of reading velo, just read the equivalent of lo. Okay, not terribly exciting. Okay, let's look at the second example, and you'll notice that the note for the apparatus is next to the word eretz. In Hebrew, as it stands, this is, and he will smite the earth. However, the apparatus suggests that a proposed reading, actually a probably, sorry, that's a different one, that probably instead you should read aritz. Aritz is a word that means arrogant or tyrant or a wicked one. And in the context of the verse, they're suggesting, or it has been suggested, that one would read, he shall smite the arrogant or the tyrant. Okay, let's look further at this example from Ruth. It begins, in the days of the judging, and then it goes on to say, of the judges. Going back to our apparatus and the little key that we have, it says that instead of reading in the days of the judging of the judges, the original Greek text of the Septuagint reads ento krinein, which in Hebrew would be simply the preposition bait on the front of shafot. So the Greek reads when the judges judged, okay, instead of in the days of the judging of the judges. It also notes that the Syriac, our Gothic S Syriac, omits shafot. So the Syriac simply reads in the days of the judges. There's another note in Ruth, and you can look at these yourself in accordance, where, and in fact, let's pull that up. So we'll look at Ruth 1. Okay, so we have, it talks about a man went from Bethlehem of Judah to sojourn in the fields of Moab, he and his wife. And in the Hebrew it says, and his 2 sons. Okay. The apparatus is telling us that the Greek here, the Greek Septuagint, the Gothic G, and the Gothic S Syriac omit the word to. So they just read and his sons. Now, unfortunately, Walker-Jones hasn't given you the English version of that particular abbreviation. However, there are certain ones where you can probably just guess. So, for instance, if we hover over this, we get, let's see, let's call it up. Okay, so if we hover over the om over here, it says omitit or omittunt, omitint. Well, that's close enough to the English omit that you can probably guess what's going on.